think at that point I had like a 4-pack, like your I know. It went away quickly after. Okay.
Some tall boy. You had 4 tall boys right there.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Rise of Basic Men, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming back with us for episode 3. Today's a very special day. We have the pleasure of speaking with our good buddy Joey. Obviously, he's one of the hosts here, but I get to learn a lot more about him. Today, we're going to go over the military. He was in the military for a good amount of time, and we have some questions for him. I guess first and foremost, man, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah. Okay.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I supported you so hard.
I felt it
by going out and drinking. That's how I supported it. That's how I supported it.
I think the first thing we should ask, what was your position in the Army? What was your rank? Where were you? What division or?
Yeah, I guess to go into it. So I was in the Army. I was in the infantry. And I was stationed up in Fort Wainwright, Alaska, and the unit was the 125th Stryker Brigade, more specifically the 124th Infantry Battalion.
That's a dope name, Stryker Brigade.
Stryker Brigade.
Stryker Brigade. I can't say that word. Brigade.
Okay.
Yeah,
Jesus.
the Stryker is like an 8-wheeled vehicle that transports people that either has like a 50 cal or an automatic grenade launcher on top.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that does sound fun.
Yeah.
Did you get to shoot both of those? I'd assume.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's pretty fun. But yeah, that's where I was stationed.
Right on. When did you go in? What year? When did you enlist?
So it was right after I graduated. So the day that I left was June 6th of 2006. 666.
Not ominous at all.
Yeah.
That's probably not the best day to join.
No, it wasn't the worst, but yeah. I really, I hated school growing up. It was actually pretty difficult for me because when I was younger, I had a head injury when I was like 3 years old. And so I was taking medication for my seizure disorder, actually. And so it was very difficult to like retain information. And so by the time that I got older, it was like, what do I do? Like, what do I do with my life after school? I didn't think I would be successful, in college. And I had a pretty big military family. And so that interests me growing up, watching different movies, seeing my dad, cousins, grandpa, whatever. And so I made the decision while I was still in high school. I think it was a junior. And I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to go into the military. I don't know what branch just yet, but if I like it, I'll stay in. I get to retire after 20 years. And if I don't, they'll pay for college. And that's that. Right.
Yeah.
So
how did so you said you're from a pretty big military family. When you told your family that you wanted to serve and you wanted to, that you wanted to go into the military, what was their kind of reaction? Was it pretty supportive or like, whoa?
Yeah. No, yeah. I'd say they were pretty supportive. Yeah, my dad, he was a Marine at first, and then he transitioned into the Army. And so the one thing he told me was, I don't want you going the Marine route. They treat you like dogs. And I was like, okay. And actually the recruiter that tried calling my house was pretty disrespectful to my mom. So like,
oh, wow.
So they guided me, right? They weren't against any of my choices going in. They just wanted to make sure I was making the right decision of where I'm going or what I'm doing. And it was almost, I didn't know enough. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go. So it was really whoever called the house, conversation I had with the recruiter, what interests I had. And I almost went into the Air Force, which I'm glad I didn't because wouldn't have been as fun, but
could have been a flyboy.
Yeah. But I remember talking to the recruiter and he He's like, so what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I want to do the cool stuff. I want to be special forces. I want to do this, like go like this elite route. But I was so naive. I didn't really know what was possible, but they did have a packet for me. It's 18 X-ray, I believe. And it's like, that's the paperwork that you can go down that path after basic, but it never turned out.
Can you elaborate on what 18 X-ray is?
I forgot. I don't know exactly the terms, like what that actually means, but it's the number and letter that tells you the path that you can go during your entry into the military.
Okay.
It's like you're eligible to go down this path if you meet the criteria or something like that.
Like just based on your like attributes and like you take a test for it. Or
Yeah,
something like
yeah. And but yeah, so I end up choosing the Army, and I was like, I wanted to do infantry. I wanted to be on the ground, and I wanted to do exciting things. And yeah.
Mobile infantry leads the way. Right?
That's right. That's right,
Yeah,
baby.
tip of the spear.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Marines. It's tip of the spear.
They don't.
It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Our listeners don't know that.
Our tens of listeners. Anyways, I'm just kidding. No. So you talked about, going in, basic training and stuff like that. Tell us what is it like? I know absolutely nothing about it.
Sure.
What's basic like?
It's not what I thought it was, actually. I guess leading up into basic. So I actually was dropped off at the mall at the recruiter's office. Say goodbye to my mom, girlfriend, high school girlfriend. And they take you to
Stop by, get some Nikes. And
yeah. And,
Got to get some trainers in.
but then they took me to, I think it was a bus to somewhere else, called MEPS. And MEPS is a big physical, like a medical physical place, right? So you have to go through all these tests, just to make sure that you're qualified to even go into basic training, to go further into the military. And oh my God, so many paperwork, signatures, tests, shots. It's just an all day event. And then once you're cleared from there, then you get sent to basic, but you're not in basic yet. I was actually in basic holding because there were so many people at the time joining.
Mhm.
So you're actually like stop lost in this place for a couple weeks called 30th AG. That's just what they called it. It's the name of the unit thing right there, whatever. And that was insane because you're not in the military yet. You're not even basic yet, but people are kind of acting like drill sergeants, right? You're in this kind of mode. People were freaking out. People jumping down the stairs to try and get hurt, to get kicked out.
Wow.
I've heard
Holy
stories
shit.
about people trying to hang themselves.
Good Lord.
Yeah, people were trying to we were out in the parking lot in formation for something, and this dude went insane and started kicking a car in the parking lot. Like, people realized they might be making a horrible decision
Mhm.
just within that first couple weeks right there. It was insane.
Jeez.
So you hold off in there until you're ready to go. You never know when you're going to get to go to basic. And I remember we were formed up. We were sitting in a line in a little formation, which waiting all day in this little awning area. And they're like, all right, guys. Yep. So you're going. You guys are going. Cool. Well, they pull up a horse trailer.
Oh shit.
And
Oh, jeez.
now, mind you, I'm in Georgia. This is June in the middle of Georgia.
It's hot as
So it's
fuck.
it's hot as fuck. And we're all crammed in there. And I remember pulling up on the street, pull up on the curb, and you see all these drill sergeants just waiting outside.
Fresh meat.
And they open the doors. And I remember telling, like, I said this out loud to myself, and I go, here we go. And everyone's getting out and they're getting yelled at. They call it shark attacks when it's like all these drill sergeants are like yelling at one person, and you're just, it's called getting smoked when they just destroy you physically, right? So like, hold your bag above your head and push ups, get up, down, whatever. And it was just stop. That was your welcome. I remember holding my duffel bag above my head for like hours. And
Probably wishing you didn't bring as much shit.
yeah, it sucked.
Should have gone for the lighter boots.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucked. But that day, now mind you, this is like mid-war, right? Like 01, 9/11. This is 06. So it's like right in the middle. So they were accepting a lot of people that might not have met the criteria. For example, there was like a maybe 50-year-old, maybe close to 400 pounds, something like that. Like as if like he just dropped everything he did and was like, I think this will be cool. And we had these shirts tucked in to our pants, and we're getting smoked, right? We're getting destroyed. And this guy, he was right next to me. I remember we were doing flutter kicks. So we're on our backs, and I hear start try heaving. He's like, "Ugh."
Oh God.
And I'm like, oh my God. Because I'm kind of enjoying it at this point. You know, you see other people kind of hurting a bit. You know, you're like, okay, this isn't that bad, but it sucks. It's exciting. And I remember we got up and drill sergeant was like, are you going to puke? And he's like, no. He's like, you better puke in your shirt. He pulls his shirt and he starts puking, and it's tucked in.
Oh
no.
And he's just puking in his shirt, and it's just this, it's collecting in his belly right there in his shirt. And
he was a popular guy after that.
yeah,
Huh?
dude. So that was kind of leading into basic training. It was kind of a huge shock. But I thought it was going to be way worse than it was from the beginning. But honestly, it was tough. I think overall, when I look back on it, I go, oh, it wasn't that bad. But there were a lot of times like, okay, you got to run to the chow hall to eat, right? Then you got to run back, and then you wake up in the morning. You got you run. You got to find out your running group. Running group A is the fastest group. B, C. So I learned how to like run and breathe out my nose and out my mouth, right, and like get through pain, and it changed my mindset. But there was a whole bunch of things we went through for like 3 or 4 months, I think it was.
That's how long it is?
I think so. I think it's 3 months for the actual basic training. And then whatever your MOS, meaning your job is, then you immediately continue that to learn that job, if that makes sense. So basic, and then you go to your college.
And your college was for the striker group?
So that was just my unit, and you don't even know what unit you're going into. But we were learning to shoot, learning to maneuver with the team. We were learning to, we threw grenades, right? We shot every sort of weapon out there. We did team building exercises, a lot of physical activities, right? And they reward you, but it's not very often. But the first half of basic training is the worst because you're nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to weed people out too.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is I've always that was always the most appealing part of possibly joining the military, because I was like, basic training seems hellish, but it seems like it'd be a fun challenge.
Yeah.
And you just get in shape. I mean, if you enjoy working out, like I'm like, minus people yelling at you the whole time. That sounds horrible. That's why I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't thrive under those conditions, but it's like doing that work, getting up, running everywhere, push-ups, pull-ups, all that stuff. So like, was that part kind of fun? Like getting in shape, doing that stuff?
It was. At the beginning, it sucked because you're doing a lot of painful things for an extended period of time just to do it. But once you continue doing it and you can't stop, like if you stop, you're going to get yelled at, so you got to find ways to keep yourself going. And yeah, it just became like a part of life, and you felt better. I think at that point I had like a 4-pack, like your I know. It went away quickly after. Okay.
Some tall boy. You had 4 tall boys right there.
Yeah.
Quickly turned into a keg,
Yeah. But I remember my fastest, because you got to do PT tests ever so often there. And I mentioned this before to you, but my fastest 2 mile was 12 minutes and 22 seconds.
That's 6
That
and
was
6.
my peak performance right there.
That was peak Joey.
That was
right
peak
there.
Joey.
Peak Joey.
That was
Yeah, I
peak.
don't know if I've ever done a peak 2. I've done peak 1s in the mid 5s.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've never, it's always like a slow mile warm up. And then right when you hit that 2, you just fucking go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. But
yeah, I know all about that.
Uh-huh. You sure did? You ran in football.
Yeah, I did run football. Yeah, you're right.
basic, it was tons of fights. I mean, so my bunkmate. So at night, the drill sergeants, they leave, right? They might go stay. If there's one like on duty, right, who stays overnight just in case something happens, there's someone there, but they're not in our space after a certain time. So a lot of fuckery goes on, over time. Well, there's these packets of Gatorade, big packets, and for like football, they'll pour, this
Yeah,
big.
it's like 5 gallons.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly. Well, that's something they did a really good job of. They're like, drink X amount of water. Here's electrolytes. Like they're really good with like, getting us the things we need based on how much activity that we're doing. Well, someone stole a bag and you're not supposed to, that's contraband. You can't take that. Well, at night, someone was making their own Gatorade. We're like, what? Okay. Well, like I said, whenever you get done eating, let's say you go to lunch, you have to run back to your barracks and stand, you have to be next to your bed, right? All that stuff. And I remember walking in, I was one of the first people back, and the drill sergeant goes, stand at attention at your bed. Shut the fuck up, like, you piece of shit. And I'm like, all right, and everyone's trickling in, and he's saying the same stuff. And finally, everyone's here, and he's like, so, do you guys know what this is fucking about? He starts building up, and we're like, what's going on? And he beelines it straight to our bunk and the little ceilings, little
ceiling tiles.
Yeah, ceiling tiles. He moves right above our bed. He moves that one, and he goes right for it and pulls this bag of Gatorade out. And I didn't know that my bunkmate had that, or whose it was. I didn't know who put it there. He's like, who's this fucking shit? He's freaking out. And I was like, dude. And finally, my bunkmate goes, that's mine. And he goes, oh, okay. Well, come here. You thirsty for some Gatorade? Let's make some Gatorade. He goes, here, pour that on the ground. Okay. He poured it on the ground. And he poured some water. He goes, now mix it with your body. And he's like, and he's mixing the Gatorade into the body. And it's just at those times, like, you think that you'd be so nervous and scared, but you're so indoctrined to like not be emotionally upset. Like you almost enjoy it. And that's funny to you watching other people get hurt or look stupid, or yelled at. But I remember that moment too. And I was like, I was trying not to laugh. And we laughed about it later, like me and my bunkmate and whatnot. But yeah, he was just all red from the Gatorade.
Red Gatorade.
Yeah. But there's a lot of that stuff. Like, a lot of people, I don't know, looking stupid and saying funny things all because of the drill sergeant, making them do that, So, but yeah, that was kind of basic training. It's scary. It's nerve wracking. You get used to it. It's exciting. You get to meet tons of people from different parts of life. And yeah, you could do some cool stuff.
So was there ever any time in basic where you're just like, I don't know, man, tomorrow, where's the fence? I'm joking. Like, were you trying to, was there any point? It sounds like you had a decent time, but
me personally, there wasn't a time when I was like, I want to get out of here. I think there was a time when I was just ready for, like, I'm ready to move on. I'm done with this stuff. Like when you're weeks out from graduation, oh my God, time goes by so slow because there's nothing to do. You actually just clean all the time. They just make you do things to pass time. And
yeah, and it slows it down, I would assume.
It slows it down so much.
Peel these potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I wasn't I'm still not like super religious, but I would go to church every Sunday just to get out and do something. Start singing songs. Everyone's, hey, Jesus. And
what's it called when you get in trouble? It's not AWOL, but
there's a thing that people that do like get DUIs and things like that. It's called an Article 15. I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
No, this is like when my dad was there, they would do like pickup marches. So across the barracks in a big line.
Oh,
picking up trash.
hands across America.
Yeah. And then what he would do is the line would stop about face and then go the other way. And he would just keep going.
Yeah.
And just kind of walk. And, you know, most of the time he didn't get caught. But if he did get caught, he would literally peel potatoes for 8 hours.
Yeah, I think that's a generation before me. Okay. All right, go peel the potatoes, and whatever. But like, if you got in trouble, I mean, I low crawled through the mud around a tree for like 30 minutes because I got in trouble, or I had to hold
What'd you do? Can't just leave that one go.
No, it was actually pretty stupid. Me and a buddy of mine, when I actually made it to my unit, we were just messing around. I forgot what we were doing. We were probably just making fun of this guy, honestly. And he was a leader and he didn't like it. So he made us both low crawl, and me and him were just laughing together as we're doing it. Cause we were just like, this is so stupid, but we'll do it. But yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you told us your unit. So did you go straight up to Alaska, or what kind of happened after basic?
Yeah. So you get told where you're going. There's, depending if, like me personally, after graduation, I get some time away with my family, or you get like 2 weeks, a week. I forgot what it was. But yeah, you fly directly up. I remember landing in pretty late. I saw some military guys like, oh, come over here. And he picked like a few of us up that were flying together. And he just drove into base with us, and he dropped us off at a place where we're staying. He goes, okay, you guys are staying here. Be here at this place at this time. So for a bit, it's kind of like you don't even know what's going on.
You're just like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I just be at that place that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll figure that out.
Yeah, you're like, okay. And then once you get in, it's pretty much all day for like a few days of like checking in across base. So you'll mostly be in like this main building, and you'll go office to office to, okay, this is my, social security. Okay. Yep. Pretty much giving your information and confirming things. Getting your ID card, getting equipment. You got to go to CIF, which is what it's called. I forgot the acronym, what it stands for, but that's where you get your rucksack, your uniforms, your knee pads, goggles, anything that you need. That's where you go for the equipment. But for the first few days, it's kind of like just signing up, checking in, right?
Mm-hmm.
How they picked where we went, because there's companies that you're a part of, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie Company, whatever. I remember it was like 6 of us in an office, and he goes, all right, you two are in Alpha Company. You two are in Bravo. You are in Charlie. Like, there's no like,
they're not looking at names and going like, oh, this person is probably better in Alpha.
Yeah.
They were just like, you two guys are first, so you're Alpha. I don't like the look of you, so you're going to Charlie. You're going to Bravo.
Yeah, you smell funny, so you're going to Charlie. And you're just looking at it being like, okay, this is the way it is, I guess, But yeah, after that, then you learn where to go. You meet up Monday through Friday at your company. But before the workday starts, you meet up around 5 or 6:30. I forgot when it is, to do PT. You don't know what you're doing. Maybe you're going for a 5-mile run. Maybe you're going to do something else. Maybe you're doing 300 flutter kicks and 200 sit-ups, and God,
that sounds fucking horrible. Flutter kicks are the absolute worst.
But also, David, think about Alaska. It gets to like -60.
Oh, you're doing flutter kicks outside in -60?
Not -60, but it gets cold, right? We would do 5-mile Mondays, and my eyes would freeze shut.
Oh yeah,
because of the sweat.
I've seen videos of like endurance runners going up there, and that they're just like an ice cube for a beard and a mustache, and then like little icicles on their eyelids.
Yeah, it's so physical stuff in certain weather sucks.
I think anything in cold weather sucks, except for snowboarding. Snowboarding's fucking dope.
Oh yeah, yeah. They have a pretty cool mountain or a ski slope in Fairbanks. They got a half pipe.
Oh,
things like that.
So you do that shit on the weekend?
Yeah, I tried to. I didn't go a lot. I mostly didn't go because when it wasn't snowing, we would run up.
That's bad
hill.
Memories.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not going there. I'm used to going the other direction and it fucking sucking.
Yeah. So, once you're in, I mean, maybe a few days you're going to the range, right? Or maybe you're learning to clear rooms with a team, a 4-man team, right? And clearing a house, right? Or you're learning how to navigate in the wood line with a team and flank somebody, right? So you're constantly training.
Right.
And some days you're just chilling out where the company is, and doing nothing.
Yeah.
So,
So from there, you guys got sent out to Iraq or Afghanistan? What happened from there?
So actually, when I first got to my unit, they just got back from Iraq, which was scary because you're new, you haven't met anybody, and these people been through shit, and they hate you just because you're new. So once you got into the good graces, start building relationships, trust, all that stuff. I think after 2 years I was in the unit is when we were being told we were going to deploy. And so we went to Iraq in 2008, I think.
Okay, so you spent like a year and a half in Alaska.
A year and a half to 2 years in Alaska.
Okay.
Before deploying.
Yeah, before deploying. Yeah. So you spent time in basic, 6, 8, 12 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you were in Alaska for a year and a half, 2 years.
Yep.
Then you're deployed.
Yeah. And that's an interesting deal because you get sent to Kuwait for like 2 to 4 weeks to get acclimated to the weather. Like
to the desert.
To the hot heat.
You're going from Alaska to a desert. Yeah. They're both kind of deserts when Alaska's the winter, but one's really fucking cold.
Two extremes, right? And that was interesting. I mean, it's pretty cool there. A lot of people I've heard went off base in Kuwait, and it's a city, they got clubs and restaurants and stuff like that, but I never went off. In Kuwait, I mean, it's places to chill out, you're mostly just kind of like waiting around. But then after that, you get your orders of where you're going. This was pretty cool. I think it was on our way to Kuwait. We're in like C-130 or C-17, I don't know, whatever, big transport cargo airplane or whatever. And you're sleeping. Like I can sleep in a plane like that. Like,
oh, I'm fucking jealous of that. I can't sleep. Fucking flying to Italy there and back and Ireland. I was just like overnight. Okay, so guess what movies do we have? Because I'm not fucking falling asleep, and I get like 12 minutes of sleep.
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. On the way there, falling asleep, everyone's asleep, and you're packed in there like sardines with your rucksacks and your equipment and everything. And I wake up, and everything is floating.
Oh, shit.
And they're going in circles while they're,
waiting to, yeah.
They were actually getting close to the ground, but they were actually zero gravity. So everything, people and their equipment was floating for a brief moment in time. And I woke up to that and it was so cool. It was awesome. And then, they stopped it and, you kind of fall and,
so you're kind of floating in your seat. Yeah. Are you buckled in?
No.
Oh, you're just wake up floating.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's sweet. Did we go to space?
Yeah. You're like dreaming and you wake up and you're just like processing what the hell's going on right now. But I think it's kind of what they do sometimes. The pilots, they have a little bit of fun before taking you wherever
those
you're going.
Air Force guys are like, fuck these Army guys. Let's make them think they're in Space Force.
All I can think of is those dreams that you have. And, you're just like kind of just barely nodding off, just like,
and then you pitch your pants.
And then, oh yeah, those two. But no, it's like you like trip over a step and you feel yourself falling.
Oh yeah.
I would wake up terrified if I was floating.
Sure. Yeah. But Chris, think of it like by this time you're like excited for stuff like that.
Like anything.
Like you're ready. Your heart races when you get, when things aren't normal. Right? Like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Fuck, this is the shit.
Adrenaline, so you've already been indoctrinated to like enjoy that. At least that's how I was. I can't speak for everybody, but yeah. So.
There was definitely somebody screaming on that plane, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm sure there was. Yeah. But yeah. And then you can't talk to anybody. You can't call home, because they risk you telling people where we're at, where we're going, and then people find that out. Bad people do. Right. And so yeah, for a bit, you can't talk to any family, call home, tell you where they're going. And then where we went was 30 minutes north of Baghdad. And our company lived in a broken down schoolhouse in the middle of a city, whereas everyone else lived on this fort, like, this base. And so we were living in this school, this like 2-story, it might have been 3-story, but 2 or 3-story school broken down. And we made it our own base, small little deal. And we had to pull security, 4 corners every night. They're 24/7 security. We cooked there. We took water bottle showers.
Oh,
for a
force
bit.
bath.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so while most people were elsewhere that had like coffee, Pizza Hut, video games, movie theater. Oh, they played soccer every Sunday. We were like living in the shit for like a year.
You had a broken chalkboard. You're like, all right, guys, we're playing Hangman.
Yeah, that's really what it's like, man.
28 letters. We've got time to kill.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of like in a nutshell getting to your deployment, or at least what I experienced.
Yeah.
Cool. So now we're in Iraq.
Yeah.
You're living in this school.
Yeah.
With nothing to do. What's the first couple weeks like? Are you like geared up, ready to you're like, I want to go on missions. I want to do stuff. Or are you just kind of like sitting there for a second?
I mean, I'd say once we got there, I mean, there's a little bit of, waiting to understand the area and what we're going to be doing. From the unit that was there and they're transitioning out, we're also learning from them about what they've ran into or what they know, right? So we can take over a seamless transition, right, for whoever was there before us. Once we get there, we're doing day missions and night missions. Day missions sounds all cool, but maybe we're meeting the local elders, or maybe we're going to a school to supply the children with pencils and, equipment for them to be.
So it's like a mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Air quotes.
Something for us to go out and do to make the area better.
Yeah. And make your presence less uncomfortable, probably, I would assume. Just kind of be like, hey, we're here to help. We're going to get that one dude with the beard that killed a bunch of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of it is just gathering intel, building trust with the locals. Everyone's experience is different about, depends what your job is and stuff. That was kind of like us. We would go out in the day and then you do a night mission as well. And usually a night mission is like, we have intel that a bad guy is here at this location. Well, let's go sneak up and scare the living shit out of him and his family and then question him or take him in.
Wow.
That's the fun.
Those are the
fun ones.
Those were the fun ones. And that's what you signed up for. Huh?
That's the fun ones. That's the fun ones.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you got a number on how many of those night missions you got to do? Or is it like,
I did over 300 in total.
Okay, so you did a ton.
Yeah. The piece that stands out to me, like the fun part. So we'll have night vision goggles, right? And so let's say we pull up. Usually people can hear us coming from a mile away because it's like a jet engine in this Striker vehicle, right? And so they know you're coming. And so we'll park maybe further away, and then we'll get out and we'll sneak somewhere close to the house that we're going to. And I remember sitting there with, everything's green, night vision goggles. You're trying to be quiet. You're walking. It's like in a movie. Like, I'm doing it. I'm really doing it, And dogs start barking, whatever. So you start picking up even faster, right? Okay, is this a house? All right, let's go. Boom. And that's the scary part because you don't know what's behind that door.
Right.
You just go for it. Nothing crazy happened, thankfully, doing that. But if we find somebody and we ID them and we're like, yes, this is the guy for whatever reason, then we typically put over the head, zip tie their hands, we'll bring them into the vehicle and we'll take them back and we'll question them. And we got interrogators, people asking questions to
get you information that you need.
Yeah.
To complete the overall mission. Yeah.
Yeah. There was one time where, and a lot of people, they'll come forth to us that might be working with people. That's like, hey, I'll tell you this information for like money, right? They're willing to give information to be safe or whatever it is. There was one guy, we found tons of stuff in his property, like missiles, ammunition, guns, rocket, like you name it. We were pulling, it was a crazy house. It was pretty big. like a mansion almost. It was insane. So you separate the women, the children, the men, and we knew who those men were. And the good ones that told us the information, we'd take them in the room. We just let them sit there for like 30 minutes. We'd feed them, joke with them. Hey, what's up? Okay, cool.
Do some fake yelling.
Yeah. And then we bring in the real guy, we'd play mind games with them and make him feel like no one else is in on it,
Were you part of the interrogation at all? Or
No, I was mostly out of that room. It's not like I wasn't able to go in, but we were mostly just pulling security, right?
Right.
Controlling the family. You got kids crying. You got women like, oh,
giving water. Giving all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we weren't horrible people, but yeah. And so we would find these people that were causing problems in the area and well-known militia, if you would. And yeah, we would take care of it.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
So when you were on some of these night missions, were you ever a door kicker? Because I assume they probably rotate out, or is there like one dude that's like, all right, fucking Jim Bob, he kicks the door.
Yeah.
He's been doing leg day since his birth.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends, but typically I think a lot of people like using the same people to do the same thing, right? So everyone knows their job. And because like if you're kicking in a door, there's a piece to like how close you are to the next person, where are they looking and where are you looking, right? So you don't want to.
So everybody's kind of lined up the same way every time.
Yeah, you don't want to change it up too often. So I'm sure that it gets changed, but like, I was constantly doing something different too, but yeah, there was this one guy, and I think it was a story that I was telling you, I think, but long story short, horrible person. Well, we turned him over to the Iraqi police because we would constantly work with the Iraqis because we wanted to train them to take care of their own instead of us having to be there. Like, so we're trying to get them responsible enough. But we handed over this guy to them, and the bad guy died in their
care.
Yeah.
But
harder quotes.
Yeah. They said he had a heart attack, or he was insulin. He had a, what do you call it?
Diabetes.
Yeah. He had a pin, didn't have it. So something happened, but in all reality, he literally got his ass handed to from the military, the Iraqi military. Like there's crazy things that like, there's like no law with them, over there. So there's some weird stuff that goes down,
Yeah.
but yeah.
What, so out there, I mean, it's war as hell and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, there's got to be some funny things that happen out there. Any pranks that you guys pulled on each other, or was it just like, well, you're in a war zone, I guess you can't really do a whole lot, huh?
I mean, there's a ton of things that we were doing. I remember there's one of our friends, he was hilarious, and he like did a MTV Cribs of like where we were staying, and it was hilarious. And we'd go to people unbeknownst to them, and they'd be in it. So there's constantly things we'd be doing, little games, and make ourselves laugh, whatever. But
keep morale up,
yeah. But nothing really comes to mind. It's mostly just like eat, sleep, repeat type of thing. We would constantly, I think every 2 or 3 weeks, we would go to that bigger base to replenish. So like you need new cigarettes, right? Or drinks, food, and it's kind of like an R&R for us.
Some Pizza Hut.
Yeah. Dude.
Seriously.
Yeah. And any chance we got to, we would stop there after a mission because the cafeteria is insane. Crab legs. Maybe it's steak night, taco night. Like they do it up, right? While we're eating like crappy ass food in this little schoolhouse, people were picking up pizzas, getting coffees, a burger and fries. Like it's a small city. Like people they get more unhealthy. They gain more weight being deployed like that than, and it's insane because it's like we were doing a lot and then you go there and it's like, what is this? What is this utopia you speak about?
That's fucking hilarious because you'd think like the Army's like, we need people in top physical health. And they're like, here's a bunch of cheeseburgers and pizzas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Like that's not healthy.
Yeah. It's weird. That was kind of like my experience with like basic, right? Like I was like, oh, it's going to be crazy. Oh my God. And then afterwards I'm like, they let us order pizza. at the end of like, this is not basic training. This is not what I thought. And same thing with deployment. Like, yeah, it was difficult a lot of times. It was really exhilarating. It was just a different life. I didn't have any urges for like fast food or, things that you typically do here in the States. Everything smells like shit. So like, the one chance you get to smell normal life, you're like grass. I was like, that's grass,
That's what I was going to say when you were talking about water bottle showers. I was like, oof, the smell in that school must have been ripe.
Yeah. It's a different life, man. You do this for a whole year. That's your life. That's how life. Here, going on. Open it. There we go.
There you go.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, let's not interrupt the podcast.
I know.
I'll let it happen.
That's why I did it like this, like I did the last time.
Just this last time, Chris. All right. No, but your whole life is this deployment, and you're used to going on these missions. Okay, we're doing this, doing that. Sleeping in this bed, right? Getting up at this time, and you don't know what's going to happen the next day, or you're so like filled with adrenaline at like midnight after a mission. So where's your sleep at? Right? Like, so we lived off this energy drink called Rippets.
Never heard of that one.
Never heard of it.
Sounds like it tastes like fart.
Yeah. They actually sold it. It actually outside of military. I've seen it before in some of these stores, but little cans, those little, I don't know,
like a 5 hour.
Like a 5 hour, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it's regular size can, but it's like 2 inches tall.
So like a Maria size can.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Normal to her. But we would just constantly be drinking this. So nicotine, energy drinks, and that's about it. That's how you survive. That's your fuel.
Cans of tuna.
And maybe creatine if you're constantly working out. And yeah, that's pretty much how we survived, is off of nicotine and energy drinks, and adrenaline,
Yeah. So I've got a random question. I didn't give you this one ahead of time, but so you're in Iraq. Did you have time? Like, is the city, I mean, I know it's in the middle of a war, so you're probably pretty focused on that, but like, is there cool things to see in the city? Like, if you're looking out the window from the school, is it like, do you have a good view of anything, or is it just kind of a shithole?
Mostly pointed towards the shithole. You can find its beauty sometimes, like sunrises and little things like that. There was an island that we went to clear because we've never been there, and we want to make sure there's nothing going on. And it had like palm trees, and it was awesome. It was really cool. But for the most part, it sucks. There's trash everywhere on the roads. People aren't driving in lanes, right? You're going over
just
medians.
Wherever they want.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I saw and experienced, it just looks like a ghost town in some parts, like, but they're businesses. Like
right.
It's hard to explain. Like, looks like a broken down house, but no, that's someone's business. And you see a lot of people hanging outside, drinking, chai tea, outside, hanging out, watching TV, but yeah, there's just so much trash on the side of the road. Everywhere you go, just trash. Ridiculous. But I would never go visit Iraq.
Okay. That was kind of like,
yeah.
Not in the middle of a war. Like, would it be a place where you go, oh, let's go there because they have this cool thing you can do? Like, there's this awesome place to go visit.
Where I was now, I'm sure there's maybe a more touristy place to go check out. I think I was watching some dude on Barstool Sports, go visit Iraq, and it seemed pretty cool where he was at, but
not where you were.
Not for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, did you get to see the palace? Because I know a bunch of people got to go there.
Yeah.
And, like, pass through it, kind of.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I think that's in northern Iraq.
Oh, is that not in Baghdad?
Maybe it is. I just know I didn't see it. Are you talking about like those swords?
Like the Saddam Palace? I don't.
Yeah.
I've only seen pictures of like the inside.
Yeah, and I never went to a Saddam Palace. I went to some pretty crazy, like big mansion properties, but nothing like Saddam stuff,
So, how long were you deployed out there?
A year.
So you were out there for a year?
Yeah, I think it was a year, a little over a year.
Is it one deployment, two deployments?
One deployment.
One
Okay.
Deployment. So when it was such a weird feeling for me when I got back. So you get back, fly home, you do a stop in Germany, do whatever, cool, and then you make your way home. And all the family is in like a hangar and friends, girlfriends, wives, whatever.
So your family was there?
No, they weren't.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I was going to say your
But it's-
friends weren't there because you can't obviously have
it's-
any. But
yeah, it's totally fine though. Like, flights to Alaska, very expensive, right? Like,
very true. Very true.
and it was fine, but it was really weird because we got back, it's like, all right, we're here. Everyone's okay. Hey, yeah, nice, cool. And then everyone that was single or, didn't have anybody there, we just picked up our bags and we walked like half a mile to our barracks and we went to our room. And I remember I sat down my bag and I sat on this bed that had no sheets on it, a little plastic wrap over the small little twin mattress. And it's just quiet. And it was so weird. It was really weird. You're constantly going for over a year, doing all this crazy stuff. And now you're just back home in your room. It's just quiet. It's such a weird experience. And
I can imagine.
I think that was a big shock. One of my first shocks of like, people want to go back to deployment. People like,
Because they miss that excitement, that craziness, that adrenaline dump.
you were somebody. You did different things. You got so used to doing this on a day to day for a year, and you might have bitched and moaned or whatever, but you got to do this thing that you enjoyed, and now you're just back to the 9 to 5. Like it's just a very shocking, weird feeling, right?
Right.
Then after that's kind of like chilling. Like you did like 30 days of leave. So I could do anything for 30 days without going to work, go on trips. I saved up a ton of money, tax free.
Right.
There you go.
So a lot of people, instead of going home, they might, when you're deployed, you get 2 weeks of leave too. So for like a whole month, you're gone. So there's constantly things changing. So like a week, it takes you a week to go home. You get 2 weeks wherever you're going. And then it takes you another week to get back. But once you're out, you get 30 days.
Nice.
And that was pretty cool. I went on a big trip and whatnot, but it's just weird after that,
Yeah.
It's all right, but
It's not, it's not the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Did the trip help kind of like ease you back a little bit? Cause you're like, all right, I can go do whatever I want. And you're not just sitting in this room in a barrack.
Yeah, I think it might have done a little bit, during that time. I mean, heavy drinking, many other things too, but just heavy drinking, partying. And you think nothing can hurt you. You're like, you really don't care. You're just kind of
Billy
abusing.
Badass now.
Yeah, you're just abusing yourself a little bit.
I survived the war. I survived the war.
Yeah, you're kind of like whatever, but you have to go back at some point, and that was kind of cool because you got a lot of new people, right? So now you got to train them, and you have respect now, right? And you're somebody, maybe you're leader, right? You moved up in ranks, right? So there's a lot of cool stuff that comes with deployment afterwards, and kind of look back being like, I remember when I was in these kids' shoes, right? They just showed up.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to do better things, trying to be a better person, a better leader than maybe who you were under some point. But I had a decision to make, which was, do I stay in?
Yeah, that's exactly where that was my next question for you. Is like, all right, so at what point do you go, all right, I'm going back, or you know what? I did my 4. I'm good.
Yeah. So, and that's another thing too. So I signed up for 4 years. So that was my contract. I also got a signing bonus of like, I think it was like 10 or 15K. So that was pretty awesome. So I had an awesome leader. He was a ranger. So a ranger is essentially like the ranger unit, right? So elite unit of soldiers. They get to do a lot of cool stuff. So
Like kind of similar, not quite as difficult as like a SEAL, but it's like the Army's version of a SEAL.
I think for what you guys know, it probably goes like this. And perception versus reality, maybe it's harder in certain aspects, but it probably goes in terms of like reliability of like importance of tiers. It probably goes Rangers, Special Forces, and then SEAL.
Okay.
And then maybe
one,
a few.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And we're special forces. That Army as
Army.
well.
Yep. So the Ranger is considered, I think, a part of that group, but then there's special forces.
Okay. So that's like the next level up.
Correct. Yeah. So a lot of people, they start off in Ranger group and then they go to a special forces team. You got to complete courses to go be accepted. And you can't be a SEAL, unless you're in the Navy, but you can go into Delta Force maybe if you get chosen. Go through both of those, like Ranger and Special Forces.
Yeah, a good, but ooh,
oh, sorry,
ouch!
What was that?
He's just mad that he didn't get into Special Forces.
Trying to rearrange.
I was about to say, a good buddy of mine went through the Special Forces training, and he was telling me a little bit about that. And ooh, that is tough stuff, man.
Yeah, I had friends that went through it, and I never went, but what I heard was it's like the final week was probably one of the most difficult parts. And I think one of them like rolled his ankle. Like imagine going through it for almost the whole time and then you roll your ankle.
Oh,
and now you can't
like working out, or he was just like walking and tripped on a rock.
I think the last part you have to there's a piece where there's like a broken down car, no wheels. You have four wheels, some bars, and you got to somehow put something together to transport this stuff. Like you got to makeshift your own like wheelbarrow type of thing. Right.
Okay.
And they were doing that, and it's miles that you have to figure the stuff out. And I think he rolled his ankle during that, which is like the last days.
Yeah.
Before.
So
yeah. But what I was getting at was the leader at the time of mine, he was super awesome. He taught me and everyone so much, but he was in the Ranger unit for a bit. And then he went up to regular Army with us to lead our company or our platoon. And I told him, I was like, I think I kind of want to go down to Ranger school. Like if I'm going to stay in, maybe I try out to do like the more elite stuff, and make my way through. So he was helping me get that together. Along the way, I talked to the recruiter or whoever gets me signed back up, talk about a contract again and all that stuff. And they were also talking about going to Afghanistan. Like our next deployment is going to be Afghanistan. I was like, yeah. Do I stay in, go down to the school, potentially move units, maybe, and do something crazier? Or if I stay, let's say I don't change units, but I go down to school, whatever, I'm going to Afghanistan. Dang. I don't know if I want to do that. So I made the decision to not sign up. And because I did not want to risk, because nothing really crazy happened to us in Iraq. It was kind of a cakewalk, honestly. But I knew Afghanistan would bring something totally different. And so I kind of was like, do I take the risk and stay in, and do I potentially die? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I get out, grow my beard, and get paid to go to school? Right?
Right.
Well, you definitely got paid to go to school.
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to call that thing on your face though.
I had to shave. I had to.
Okay, so like now you've made that decision.
Yeah.
What's your thought process? Like what are you taking from what you've learned over the last 4 years into your next voyage or venture that you learned there that you're like, okay, I can apply this doing these things? Let's say you said you weren't great at school growing up. Did the Army help you gain focus and like direction?
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I mean, nothing that I did translates to anything out here in civilian world. Like I carried a gun. I learned how to break down doors and be as much of a badass as I could be. Nothing, maybe a cop, right?
Okay, construction. And like if you're on the demo side, dude, I've kicked down doors plenty of times.
Yeah, but it's not like I gained that experience and it translates, I could start fresh doing something else. But I think the biggest thing that I took was my mindset, right? Being able to like really plan something out. And if I really wanted it, I'll put the energy into doing it and not stopping until I get what I want type of thing. Cause like when I went to college, I was like, I enjoyed math. Like I could retain things. Like I was just so prepared and mature to take on a new thing. Right. But yeah, I would say it's just maybe how I looked, my outlook on life and what I wanted to do, my goals, right. And to achieve them a little bit.
So looking back at your time in the military, is there any advice you would give to one of our listeners that's, possibly thinking about going in or, kind of toying with the idea of maybe staying in or leaving or anything like that? Do you have any advice?
I think nowadays you have a lot more tools to look up how a role in the military is. You'll never get the full effect of what it is until you do it. I think that goes with anything. I would say this is I knew I wasn't ready to go into school after high school, to go into college. And because this interested me, I pursued it. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I kind of chose things. I wanted to be infantry. That's all I knew. I didn't want to do anything else, right? So I would just say make sure to do your research, talk to people, try and get their thoughts and perspectives as well before making a decision. Honestly, it was a crazy ride. I didn't know what to expect all the time, and I did it, and that was kind of the fun. I met some great people. There's a lot of dumb things that happen in the military. You work with a lot of dumb people. Okay. It's not all like Rambo and stuff like that. You're around a lot of dumb people sometimes. Okay?
I mean, we do a podcast with one. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right here. You don't have to say it out loud.
Yeah. But there's a lot of great people too. But one thing I did notice when I got out is as much as I thought it was unorganized in the military, getting out here in the civilian world, I felt it. It's like, there's no way it could be worse. And it's worse. And
we definitely don't have our shit together.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something I've been thinking about, which is it's a tough time for people to transition out of the military. So I would say, I guess, different topic, something that I went through, and I think a lot of my friends and people that we know that went through, which is transitioning out of the military. And it's kind of like the experience of getting done with deployment, and then you're back quiet in your room.
Right.
And you're like, okay, it's kind of the same feeling, but the difference is when you get out, you lose your friends. You now are doing something that you build all this respect and education on, and whatever it is. You're not. Your life is different, and you have to restart your life from square one around people who don't give a shit,
right?
What you did, anything. And I think that is a piece that I would say to anybody is if you are joining the military, there's so much more things that you don't even recognize that happens to you, which is usually once you transition out of the military, it's a mindset, and you have to be mentally strong, like actually push through a lot of those times right there. But yeah.
Any organizations you want to kind of give a shout out for anybody that's out there, maybe?
No real organizations. There's one thing that I did, which is pretty cool. And a lot of veterans, they'll meet up in different cities or locations around the nation, and they'll do meetups, and they'll do a 22-mile march, right? Dedicated to the 22 veterans that commit suicide each day, which I'm pretty sure it's a larger number than that. That was pretty exciting. That was a moment where after the fact, when I was out, done with school, that I got to kind of relive the camaraderie, the jokes, the mindset, just be around other veterans that we just drank and we did 22 miles.
Right.
Like we literally were drinking while we're doing this around Austin. And it was so cool. We were taking little shots from IV bags, and stuff like that. It was cool.
This is when I did that 27-mile one we talked about last episode, where I was just like, when you guys were coming to meet me, I was like, bring whiskey. Just come on. I'm 11 miles in, like a shot of whiskey.
For the love of God.
And then you showed up and I was like, so about that whiskey. And they're like, oh, we thought you were joking. I was like, why the fuck would I be joking about that?
Why the hell would I joke?
I've got 6 more hours of this walk.
Well, next time, let me know and I will be prepared for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So circling back just to what we were just kind of talking about is that getting out of the army. I know they have like a couple week like decompression or something. Did you go through that? Like they put you in this like transition phase, like how to transition out, give you a couple little pointers.
Yeah, they got resources.
Yeah. And then do you think that would be something that the Army could look into further and having like an actual plan and policy put in place? Because I've heard other people on different podcasts, people like Andy Stump, going like, yeah, it was 2 weeks, didn't teach me shit, and then I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
But like, let's say they give you an 8-week transition where they're like, okay, we're going to teach you basic dealing with stupid people skills.
Sure.
And then, something like that. Do you think it would be beneficial and possibly help with that 22 a day kind of thing?
Yeah. I think I really don't know what they could do. I think, that's an option. But like, here's the reality of it. Like whenever you pre-deployment, you take these tests, you get analyzed by like this kind of therapy test to see where you're at, like where your mind's at. And then when you get back, you take that same test. Well, on the test, it's like, how often do you drink? 1 to 2 a day, 3 to 4, this and that. And I learned that like 1 or 2 a day drinks, like beers, it's considered to be an alcoholic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's like when the doctor goes, how many drinks do you have a week? And I'm like,
not enough.
I'm like, right now I'm drinking once a week. Well, second time this week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, how many drinks did I have yesterday? 7?
Yeah.
Maybe 8.
Yeah.
And they're like,
It's all about averages, man.
yeah, I was like, if you average that out, that's like 1.17
from when I was born until today, there was a big time when I wasn't drinking.
Yeah, you seen one of those 18-wheelers? Yeah, probably one of those.
Yeah.
Full.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like there's moments where you do these things and they want to gather insights and data and they want to help you. And let's say even I went to the VA, and you get in front of a therapist, like, how are you? Well, I'm good right now, So like, it's hard to like hit the nail on the head with helping people, even afterwards when you got to like, hey, I meet with my therapist every week, blah, blah. It's difficult because all they're doing is just writing down stuff. It's not like they can relate on anything. So some of these things also is people get out and they think it's going to be great. You're like, yeah, I'm getting out. Cool. And like a buddy of mine, he lives in Houston and really close friend. He was in my company, my platoon, right? Best friends. And he's like, I need to go back in. This sucks. Like he can't find a job. He went through school, but then whatever, like just nothing was working for him. And I got a call from, I think it was from his mom. His mom never called me. I don't know who it was. Call him, hello. He tried killing himself. And he pulled the trigger and it was a dud.
Oh,
Jesus.
And he took that round. He went to the hospital and he slammed it on the desk and he goes, that didn't work. So I need you to help me.
Jesus.
And they put him up in the 5th floor, top floor. I went down there, when he got out, hung out with him and his family. Right. And I was like, hey, we talked and everything, but I don't know how to fix people offing themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. All I know is I know why I felt that way, which was a disconnect from I'm not important anymore. I'm not doing what I'm used to doing. I'm not around the friends that I did this with. No one knows me. You just feel unimportant. And when an economy sucks, you can't get a job, it's hard going through school again and proving yourself. And, you're sitting in traffic, life sucks.
Mm-hmm.
People get down. And
Yeah.
I think that plays a big part is you're not doing this extreme thing in your life anymore. And now there's no purpose.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man.
so yeah.
So it is a big problem with veterans these days. So
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I think there was about a 2-week period where it was like every day I heard someone that I knew that did that, you know,
Jesus.
and
Sorry to hear that, man.
it's sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but it's so annoying. Like at this point, I just get pissed. Like I'm not sad anymore. I just get fucking pissed. Like, what are we doing? You know, but yeah.
I don't know. Well, to kind of close this episode out on a higher note, on a more fun note, I'm sorry. Tinfoil hat time.
Yeah.
During your time, did you ever see anything cool? Anything interesting? Anything out of this world, perhaps? With all the stuff that's going on these days in the world.
I personally didn't.
Okay.
Okay. But there's someone that I know that is a retired pilot. And I was noticing that they were still working, but I thought they were retired. And then I heard that they worked at Area 51.
Interesting.
And I go, really? And the next time I talked to this person, we were talking military stuff, and I brought it up once we had some drinks. You know, I was like, you know, I meant to wait to feed him, you know, some booze, but I was like, hey, I heard you work in Roswell. And he goes, yeah. I go, tell me about that. Can you? And he goes, no, I have a 30-year NDA, but what I can tell you is people have no idea what technology that we actually have. Pretty vague statement, but I think with everything that's been coming out lately and everything that we've talked about and seen, I mean, we have to have things like well beyond the years of our technology that's public right now. Like
Yeah. It's like the SR-51 was classified for 25 years. Nobody knew about it.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you had the, what is it? The
F-117.
Yeah. The F-117.
Yeah.
And then when they finally put to use, people were like, UFO.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is like late 60s, 70s technology that we're just going to stay one step ahead of you, but we're not going to give you the actual good stuff we got.
Yeah.
Because we got better stuff than that, but this is all we need right now.
Yeah, we'll get into that's a whole episode in
episode. I want to go into it, but
yeah, we are definitely really into that kind of stuff, so that'll definitely come out in a future one. But yeah, man. And any last words
before you die?
Anything you want to leave the people with?
I'll say this is if you're thinking about going to the military and you want to pursue it, do it. No matter what you want to do. I mean, if military is the thing that you want to start your life with or you want to go into, go for it. There's a lot of distractions, a lot of drinking, a lot of fighting, a lot of crazy memories and stories that you'll create for yourself, but stay the track. You'll meet a lot of good people and do what's best for you. I made a decision to get out. I remember being very sad my last day there, but you always look back on it. You're like, oh, I miss it. But it's like looking back on an ex-girlfriend, you know, you're like, oh, I miss her. And it's like, do you though?
Yeah. Remember the good times.
Yeah. Do you?
So I would just say if you're interested in doing this, go for it, but just try and learn as much as you can, get mentally strong, physically strong, and just go whatever direction that you feel is best in the end. Either way, you can transition out. You can be successful. You can start from square one. And I would say, I'll leave it at this. Just never give up. Just keep going. That's it.
God damn, that was such an amazing story. I've never heard all of that stuff coming from Joey. I know that's probably new for you as well.
Very new for me, man. Like I've known Joey for a couple of years now, and I knew he was in the Army, but it's kind of tough to ask somebody, hey, tell me about the Army stuff,
Sure.
Did you kill somebody?
Right. Yeah, that kind of shit. But it's I'm glad that we have this kind of platform where we can get to know our friend so much better about a big part of his life.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much. I've never talked about this with people outside, and appreciate you guys. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, cheers, guys. David, you want to take us out on this one?
Yep. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. I'm not saying cheers. I don't even cheers.
Cheers.
Alrighty, guys. Remember, keep rising, keep inspiring, and as always, your story matters. Alrighty. Woo! Number 3.
Take it down.
I feel like we need to do a cheers for the.
Tell me when.
Yeah, I mean, that's plenty win. Jesus Christ. I didn't think you were just going to keep going with it.
Tell me when.
Oh, Jesus.